everyone, I thought I'd put another video together for you today. This one's totally different. The one I posted before was frame by frame animation with Photoshop. Today we're going to look at very basic HTML and CSS. This is a really great opportunity for your kids to try something different while they're off school. So why not start them on a journey of learning some coding languages. HTML and CSS forms the basis of all websites you see online, and it's pretty easy to learn really. Certainly the basics of HTML are really straightforward, and it's really great fun. So I'm going to pitch this at the kids, but feel free to follow along, parents as well. It's a good sort of skill to play around with. So first things first, I'm using a MacBook here, but you could use a PC for this as well. Rather than having to use expensive software for this tutorial, I've decided that we should use something that's open access and free to everyone. That means as long as you've got a computer, you can download this software. So here I am on the website. It's called brackets.io, and Brackets is basically a very simple plain text editor for writing code, and it's ideal for a beginner just to have a play around with some of the basic coding that you use for HTML and for CSS. I'll explain what those two languages do as we go along. I'm not going to go into too much detail, just feel free to follow along if you fancy it. So here we are, brackets.io, and you need to download it. Once you've downloaded it, somewhere in your folder, in your applications folder, you should find Brackets. I'm going to click on mine. I've already launched it. Here we are in Brackets. Now, before we get started, it's really important to create a folder for your website project. When you build a website, websites are quite fussy about where things are stored. So as you start adding images on your page, you should make sure they're all put all neat and tidy in a folder. I've created a folder already on my computer. I've called it Screencasts. Inside there, I'm going to quickly make my website folder. So let's just call this one Learning HTML and CSS. You can basically call this folder whatever you like. It's totally up to you. We'll just call it learning.html and CSS. Let's go inside that folder. Now, when you create a folder, it's like I said earlier, it's good to be really tidy. And there are a few sort of typical folders that you find in a web project file. Let's first of all, I'm control and clicking, but you could go File, New Folder. Depending on if you're on a PC or Mac, it might be slightly different. But let's go File, New Folder, and we're going to call this folder IMG. That's short version for images. That's where we're going to put any images that we might create later on. We might not do that in this step, but it's good just to know how the folder gets set up. Then we'll create another folder, and we'll call this one CSS, like so. There are other folders that you could put in here, but let's keep it really simple and just have those two for the time being. Once you've created this folder, let me just go back a level so I can actually see the folder. Once you've done that, you need to basically tell Brackets where this folder is. And the easiest way to do that is to make sure you can see your folder here. Make sure you can see the Brackets software there, and then just click and drag that folder. And let go on the side of Brackets. Straight away, you can see the two folders that we've created are just here. So the CSS and the IMG, and the name of the folder is just there as well. So job done. That's the first thing we need to do, set up that folder. Now let's go back over to Brackets and do the next task. You could literally start creating a page and writing some code now, but just ahead of that, we need to add an extension for Brackets just to make it super easy for you and your kids to get started. If we go to File, you'll notice on mine there's one here that says New HTML5. Currently, if you install Brackets, you won't have that, and that's because I've installed an extension that makes me able to create this page really easily. To create the extension or install the extension, if you go to File, Extension Manager, then you do a search in here for the HTML5 extension. I'm going to show you it on my installed version, so there it is. That's what you need to find. So let me just copy that. I've already installed it, as you can see. Let me go back to the available applications here, and if I did a search just there, you're looking for the one that says New HTML5, which I've already installed, and then you click the Install button. Once you've done that, you'll have this new HTML5 document listed in the file option. I've already done that, so go ahead and do that first. You might need to help your kids out with that bit. Who knows, they might actually need to help you. We'll see. Anyway, so let's go File, New HTML5. And as soon as you do that, you get a bit of code like this. This is called HTML code. We're using the HTML5 version. That's what this document type says there. That's an HTML5 document type. Before we go any further and explain some of this stuff and start writing some code, we need to save our page. In brackets, you'll see there's a little dot there, a little circle, and it's currently an untitled page. We need to give that a name. So let's go File, Save As. You'll notice it's instantly picked up that we're inside this folder because we dragged it over here, so it knows to save it there. The first page of every website is called index. So we're going to name that index. And notice that there's no capitals or anything, it's all lowercase. So index.html. Let's click Save. And straight away you can see at the top there it says index, and you can see my working files, the open files is just there. So job number one, we need to have a look at what some of these things do. I'm not going to bore you to tears with all of this, but there's a couple of things we need to chat over. The title tag, this bit here, is what shows in the internet browser. So if we just pop over to a browser and we look at brackets, that word just there, those bits of words, is what shows in that title tag. So let's go back over to brackets and let's just change that to learning HTML and CSS, and we'll just save that page. Now we want to go and have a look at this to see how it's going to look. When you're writing code, the best place to check that code is in a web browser. The best web browser arguably is Google Chrome. If you haven't got Google Chrome, Firefox will do. Ideally, don't go for Internet Explorer. It's a bit of a joke amongst web people. It hasn't been supported by Mac computers for a long time, so avoid Internet Explorer and go for Google Chrome or Firefox instead. So to have a look at this page, there's not a lot to see at the moment, but to have a look, let's go to Google Chrome and we'll open up a new browser window. And then we'll go to File, Open File, and we will, where are we? Where did I save it? I've saved it in Documents, I've saved it in Screencast, Learning HTML, Index.html. Okay, so I've opened the page, but you'll notice that it's blank at the moment. However, because we added our title tag in, you can see it listed just there. So learning HTML and CSS. If I popped back into brackets and just added some extra words there, like, I don't know, building a simple page, save that, head back over to the browser, and then if you hit this refresh button just here, you can now see the words just cutting off there, but you can see the change has been made. Okay, let's put a little bit of content now on this page. Let me go back over to brackets, just here. Now, when I want to put content on the page, it needs to go in between these things here, the body. The body is like the page of the website, so anything you write needs to go inside there. Let's start by thinking about titles of your page. There are 6 titles in HTML, H1 to H6, and they basically look like this. So when you write a tag, you open it like that, and then you write an H1, and then you close the tag off like that, and as soon as you do that, in brackets, it will finish off the sentence for you, or the code for you. Then in the middle, just there, you write whatever it is you want to write. So we'll go, hello, this is a heading 1. Okay. Now let's go File, Save, and let's go back over to the browser and hit refresh. And there you go, we can see my title. Hello, this is a heading 1. Let's go ahead and add a couple more headings. We can do from H1 all the way down to an H6. So we'll just write in heading 2. Let's go for a heading 3. Let's go for a heading 4. And a number 5. And finally a number 6. Okay, so there are 6 headings to choose from. I won't sort of talk too much about when and why you'd use particular ones, but let's have a look at that in the browser. So I've saved the page. Always save the page before you preview it, otherwise you won't actually see it in the browser. So we always go File, Save, and then we come over to the browser and we hit the refresh button, and now you can see all of our titles are just there. Let's have a look at another little bit of HTML code. So we've looked at headings 1 through to heading 6. We don't need to keep all these, so just to clear some space, we'll get some of those out. The next thing would be a paragraph, so where you want a load of text, a bit of information about something. So this is a paragraph of text. How are you doing today? Okay, let's save the page and let's go to the browser and hit refresh. And there you go, you can see this is a paragraph of text. How are you doing today? So a nice simple paragraph of text. Let's go back over to the to brackets. We've got an H1, an H2, a paragraph. Let's learn a few other tags, and I'll do this fairly swiftly. Feel free to pause if you want to along the way. So I'm now going to write a UL, and inside that I'm going to write a list. Notice that the list is a little bit different because it's also got a UL. I'll show you that in a second. So it's got a UL. UL stands for unordered list, and then inside we've got list items. In this scenario, you can see I've basically created pages. I'm actually going to change this one to Google so I can show you something in a minute. So we've got a UL like so, as well as a UL. We've also got an OL. I'm going to put both in so you can see the difference. Red, green, blue. Okay, and then I'm going to save the page, go back to the browser and hit refresh. So you can see this is called an unordered list, as in there's no numbers to the side. This is used often in navigation, always in fact in navigation. And then we've got an ordered list, an OL, meaning a list where it's 1, 2, 3 and so on and so forth. Let's now create a link to Google from this one here. So we'll go back over to brackets. In order to create a link to Google, we need to put another tag around this called the anchor tag or the A tag. And this is what it looks like. Okay, so we've got an anchor tag like so. And then inside that, we need to type in an href. H means hyperlink, as in where's it going to link to. And we're going to just put in an absolute path to Google, like so. We could leave it like that, but unfortunately it will direct users away from the current website, and we don't want them to do that. We want them to stay in our website. In order for that not to happen, we need to write something called target_blank. Let me put that onto one line just so you can see it. It might not quite fit on one line actually. So what target_blank does is it basically opens the link in a new window. Let me save that, preview it in the browser, and you'll see what it looks like. So here we are, there's my link to Google, and when I click on it, you'll notice a new tab opens, but our tab stays there. One other little thing that you could add to the title, anchor tag, is a title, and let's just write visit Google inside there. And if we then go back over to Google Chrome, hit refresh, hover over, you can see what the title tag does is it adds a little flag that says visit Google. So this basically allows the user to know what happens when they click that particular link. Obviously writing the word Google means it's quite obvious what's going to happen, but it's sort of a good, useful strategy regardless. So there's a couple of simple HTML tags. Let's now have a look at some CSS. Let's have a look at how you then make things a particular colour. Normally you'd add CSS to a separate file, but to keep things really simple in this video, we're going to put them up in the head area of the HTML page. This is the head area. So inside here, I'm going to write a style tag, so it looks like that. Then I'm going to say what it is I want to talk to. So I want to talk to the body, which if you remember is the whole page that's currently white. I want to talk to the body, and you write what you're talking to, an open curly bracket, a closed curly bracket, and then inside you write whatever it is you want to do. So here I've written background, a colon, and then whatever colour or whatever I want to do. You can do colours using hashtags, and there's some great websites out there. For instance, let's go over to the Pantone colours. Oh, wrong link, hang on. Let's go to Pantone, scroll down a little bit. There we go, we're going to pantone.com just here. And we just need to find their colours. I think in actual fact, to make it easier to find, we'll just click on the quick online colour tool. So it's pantone.com/colour finder. And if we just find a colour that we like, I'm going to go for a blue, I love a bit of blue. Choose whichever colour you like from here. I'm going to choose that lovely bright cheery blue just there. And then if you copy this code here, it's called the hex code, or the HTML it says there, the hex code. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go back to brackets. First you need to put in a hashtag, and then you need to put in the colour, like so. So we've changed the colour of the overall page to be sort of a bluey colour. Let's save the page, go to the browser, go back to our website and hit refresh. And now you can see the change has occurred. Let's also change the colour of this heading, just to sort of confirm how that works. So to change the heading, that first heading, we're needing to talk to the H1. So let's go H1, colour, and we spell this American, so we get rid of the U there. We could either now go back to the Pantone colour picker and choose a nice colour from there, or we could choose one from the list here. Coral is a lovely colour with blue, so I'm going to choose that one. Semicolon at the end. Let's also change the size of the font to something quite nice and big. And let's change the font family to be, what should we go for? Just sans serif. Sans serif means it's more simple. There's no flicky bits on the title. Let's save that. Let's go back to the browser and hit refresh. And there you go, we got a nice big heading at the top there. Let's just do the heading number 2 as well. So let me go back into brackets. Let's go H2, and we'll change the colour to be an Alice White. I don't like the font size of this one, so I'm going to reduce that. Let's change the font size to be 32. I'm just making the size up. And let's also grab a sans serif. I'm going to copy that. So we'll also do that as well. Okay, save the page, go back to the browser, hit refresh, and now you'll see what you've done. So that was a very basic introduction to HTML and CSS. If you'd like to learn more about HTML and CSS, if it's sort of whet your appetite and you want to try it out for yourself, head over to w3schools.com, and there's 2 great tabs, Learn HTML and Learn CSS. This resource is fantastic. If you like something a bit more interactive, then you could go for Codecademy, if I could actually spell it properly. So you could go to codecademy.com, and you can basically start learning code for free. Within the catalogue, the bit I highly recommend is the bit where it says HTML and CSS. So go to catalogue and go just there. I hope that sort of whet your appetite for some extra little thing you could do with the kids. Age-wise, probably sort of end of juniors and into secondary school, I guess. But I'm certainly going to give it a go at teaching my 9-year-old son once he's off school. So have fun, and any questions, ping me a message.